Hello everybody and welcome back to Tales of the Unseen. Today's story takes a lot of twists and turns and I know you guys will enjoy this one, so let's begin. The reason why I will never deliver pizza again. From an early age, I was what some folks may label a delinquent, a troublemaker. I was the kind of guy who would always be around the wrong crowds, getting entangled in nefarious deeds, perpetually causing chaos wherever my footsteps fell. Even though most of the things I was involved in could easily get anyone sentenced in prison for a couple of years, I had, thankfully, managed to evade the capture. That is, until the day that me and some friends stupidly got Mr. Anderson's garage on fire. Some friends of mine, if you could even call them friends, were hanging out when one of us had the brilliant idea of breaking into Mr. Anderson's garage to smoke some marijuana. Once we found ourselves inside, competing to outdo each other, seeing who could drag the longest, one of my friends bumped into some tool supplies, causing them all to fall. The loud clattering from the supplies caused whoever was holding the joint to drop it, thus igniting the flammable fumes. My so-called cohorts scattered in a panic, abandoning me amidst the chaos. After narrowly getting around the escalating flames and flinging the door with desperate urgency, I was met with the garage's owner, Mr. Anderson. His face bore a deep hue of anger, perfectly complementing his disheveled bathrobe. With a swift, aggressive motion, he grabbed me by my collar, hurling me out into the safety of the open air. He then retrieved the fire extinguisher, smothering the raging fire. With the fire subdued, he wasted no time in calling my parents. The ensuing retribution I faced at the hands of my mother was nothing in comparison to the penance that awaited me. Opting not to get the law involved, a deal was struck between Mr. Anderson and my parents. To make amends, I'd have to get a summer job, ensuring every cent went to mending the damage to his property. To say I viewed the arrangement with resentment would be putting it mildly. After a tedious search through various job listings on a collaboration with my parents, we collectively settled on a pizza delivery driver. The job's requirements were straightforward: 17 years of age and a legitimate driver's license. The work, in its essence, was the worst thing in the world. Often I'd sit around waiting for orders and then go out on deliveries. The pay wasn't all that good though, but the added perk of being able to get tips was a bonus, except nearly every tip I got found its way to the garage repair fund. I'd say the only downside of the job was the long hours and the ever-challenging act of managing human confrontations. It might come as a surprise, but some folks absolutely go crazy over the smallest imperfections in their orders. Forget a drink, prepare for the damn fireworks. I've faced enraged shouts, had doors violently slammed in my face, and even encountered those audacious enough to refuse payment yet demand their meal. Weeks into this routine, as another day neared its conclusion, a late order buzzed in. It was close to 11 p.m., and I was on the brink of clocking out when my boss flagged me down, signaling one last delivery. Groaning inwardly, I accepted. As I waited for the pizza to be ready, I mulled over my predicament. What surprised me wasn't the timing, but the simplicity of the order. A small cheese pizza. It might strike you as odd, but had I been the one ordering at the brink of closing, I would have opted for a full-blown feast, sides, drink, and all, but I digress. I finally headed out. I input the delivery address into my phone's GPS and was nearly compelled to fling in the pizza out of my car. The destination was far, way out on the town's outskirts. This had better come with a big tip, I mused. The journey itself was uneventful, the streets bathed in the glow of the moon. Grew more desolate as I distanced myself from the town. Arriving at my destination, a peculiar unease enveloped me. The house, though covered in darkness, seemed typical. Yet, the same dread that gripped me when confronting Mr. Anderson in the blaze of the garage suddenly resurfaced. Readying myself, I walked towards the front door. Just as my knuckles prepared to announce my presence, my eyes landed on a note, adhered to the door. They're asleep. Enter. Money's inside. I entertained the thought of just pitching the pizza at the door, but I instead cautiously turned the doorknob. The cracks as I opened the door were loud. It felt as if my every attempt at being quiet only made me louder. Stepping within, what immediately struck me was the home's emptiness. The expansive living room played host to just a lone table with no chairs. Approaching the table, another note came into view. Right next to the payment for the order, the scribbled "thank you" did little to help my escalating irritation, especially when I realized they were shortchanging me and, adding insult to injury, no tip. Visions of setting the house on fire briefly danced in my mind, but swallowing my wrath, I bellowed into the house. Dismissing the prior instructions, "Hello, delivery here," I said loudly. Silence. In a last-ditch effort, I knocked on the front door from within. That's when an unsettling sound reached my ears. A faint, muffled whisper echoing from the depths of a distant corridor. My mind was torn between the drive to collect my rightful money and the urge to leave. With renewed determination, I blitzed down the hallway, throwing doors open in a fury. But with each vacant room, my motivation for monetary justice was replaced with an overwhelming urge to leave. 2 barren bedrooms and an empty bathroom later, I exclaimed with frustration, "Fine, keep your fucking pizza!" Yet, as I was about to leave, a whimper caught my ear, coming from the door to my left. Hesitantly, I opened it, revealing a staircase descending into darkness, a basement. With a more concerned tone, I called out, "Hello? Your pizza's here." A woman's voice whimpered back, only saying 2 words that sent chills down my spine. "Help me." Without hesitation, I dialed the police, explaining the bizarre situation, that I haven't even received the money for the pizzas and that I heard someone calling for help from inside the house. They told me to wait outside and that they would send a car right away. Sure, I've earned my reputation as a troublemaker, even an arsonist on occasion, but I can't simply turn a deaf ear to a desperate plea for help. I hesitated at the top of the staircase, its creaking wood threatening to crumble beneath me. Gathering my nerve and illuminating the path with my phone's flashlight, I walked down into the darkness. The basement floor was slick, smeared with a substance, perhaps a result of pipes dripping from above. As my phone's light swept the room, it landed on her, a woman, bound to a metal pillar, her body marked with bruises. Instinctively, I approached and freed her, all the while whispering words of reassurance. Assisting her up the stairs, we were met with an intensive beam of light and authoritative voices commanding us to stop, causing me to nearly lose my grip on her. The police had arrived. I explained to them what happened, and they'd let both of us out into safety. All the while, other officers combed the premises, but ultimately, their search yielded nothing. As we waited for the situation to be resolved, I took a moment to dial my boss, explaining what happened and firmly expressing my intention to never return to the job. The officers, after taking my statement and expressing their gratitude, informed me I was free to go. The community began hailing me as a hero, a savior of sorts, even Mr. Anderson granting me a reprieve on the money owed after hearing what I'd done. I didn't feel like a hero. It was luck. A follow-up from the police a few days later intensified this feeling. They disclosed that the girl was also a delivery driver who had been reported missing just 2 days prior. She recounted her experience, explaining her abduction during a routine delivery. The chilling detail was her admission of never seeing her captor's face or hearing their voice. The weight of this revelation settled heavily within me, recognizing that our fates could have easily have been switched. Her very survival might have hinged on my entry into that house. I grappled with endless questions. Why wasn't it me bound to the basement? Why was she seemingly left for me to discover? Who was behind the order? The mysteries deepened when, just yesterday, I stumbled upon a note on my doorstep reading, "Thanks for the pizza." And now that I think about it, when I was being ushered out of the house by the police that night, I don't remember seeing the pizza that I left on the table in the living room. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, I would appreciate if you would give the video a like and subscribe to the channel, as I will be posting more stories like this in the future. If you have any scary stories or creepy encounters from when you were delivering pizza, make sure to comment them down below and I will read every single comment that I receive. That's about all I have to say. I'll see you guys in the next video, and take it easy.